People who live and work in New York tend to move in the shadows of the towering skyscrapers that seem to take up every inch of space in the island. But amid a scarcity of land, the next development frontier could well be beneath our feet. A proposal by two New Yorkers to develop the world's first underground park in the Lower East Side has captured the attention of urban planners, design experts, and the city's property developers.
You know, in a place like New York, where we're kind of out of open space, out of real estate, and we have super crowded neighborhoods that are perhaps underserved by public amenities, it makes all the sense in the world.
James Ramsey and Dan Barish seek to develop 1.5 acres of land buried below one of New York's most densely populated neighborhoods and turn the area, which was once used as a tram depot, into a futuristic, solar technology-fueled green space called the Lowline. Designed to filter light from above ground, the project's founders argue the space would function not only as a park, but as a way to boost the local economy and property sector of one of Manhattan's most underdeveloped areas.
The Lowline is a project that we really feel will be able to draw more people down to the neighborhood during the day, and thereby really increase the prospects of local businesses. The Lower East Side is actually is home to some of the most interesting and the largest number of really mom and pop businesses. There aren't a lot of chain stores down there. And I think what the Lowline can really do is to make a lot of these businesses even more viable and even more popular.
James and Dan's plan is not without precedent. The success of the High Line project, a stretch of abandoned elevated railroad on Manhattan's west side that has undergone a resurrection to become a 22-block walking park, has prompted a rethink about the city's underused and abandoned spaces.
I think you have to start from the perspective that people are rediscovering urban life all over again.
Joshua David co-founded the Friends of the High Line nonprofit in 1999. 10 years later, the group opened the first section of the new park.
When I moved to the neighborhood, if you walked down 10th Avenue, you wouldn't see anybody. It would just be empty. And now 10th Avenue, which is the avenue closest to the High Line, is becoming really a thriving New York City avenue. Businesses are opening, there are new real estate developments, office space is in very, very high demand over here. And so I think that the High Line's just really catalyzed interest in being in this part of Manhattan.
Housing data supports this thinking. According to appraiser Miller Samuel, in Chelsea, home to a large stretch of the High Line, the price per square foot of an apartment has risen by 50% since 2006, whereas the Lower East Side has followed the broader Manhattan trend of a 20% increase. The hope is that the $55 million Lowline Park may have a similar effect on the Lower East Side. This, coupled with the $1.1 billion Essex Crossing project, could well kickstart a wave of residential and commercial development. But the proposed Lowline project still faces some hurdles. Most notably, the space is still under the control of the state's transit authority. And while the funding is not guaranteed, the authority has expressed its interest in developing the unused land.
A project like the Lowline has the ability to attract a great deal of foot traffic. And when increased foot traffic occurs in a community of small merchants, it really bolsters the ability of small businesses to succeed and to grow. So we think the potential of the Lowline and the attraction not only from tourists, but from visitors and residents throughout the region and throughout the 5 boroughs is essential to maintaining the strength of the Lower East Side's local economy.
Property developers who have watched the city over time embrace the constant state of flux and believe it's part of New York's character. But there is always the worry that in trying to revitalize a neighborhood, you risk losing some of the grittiness that made it appealing in the first place.
In introducing a project like the Lowline, what we actually, in a large part, hope to do is effectively repair a tear in the urban fabric and restore a set of amenities to a long underserved neighborhood. And in doing so, to really kind of create a cultural anchor about which the neighborhood can enjoy and congregate.
Skeptics question if the Lowline will have the same transformative effect that the High Line did. As designers point out, a park is just one piece of a very complex puzzle with many actors and interests. But in an increasingly developed urban grid, it may well be the players who interpret the city's parcels of land in fresh ways that find themselves at the forefront of New York's renewal. Anjali Raval, Financial Times, in New York.